tankers new. The old ones are really, really old. I ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to the consideration of H.R. 5883, which was received the House and is at the desk.
Clerk will report.
H.R. 5883, an act to make a technical correction in Public Law 112-108.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent the bill be read 3 times, passed, motion reconsidered, laid on the table. There be no intervening action or debate, and any related statements will be printed in the record as if read.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to the consideration of H.R. 5890.
Clerk will report.
H.R. 5890, an act to correct a technical error in Public Law 112-122.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent the bill be read 3 times, passed, motion reconsidered, be laid on the table. There be no intervening action or debate, and any statements related to this matter be placed in the record at the appropriate places if given.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent the Judicial Committee be discharged from further consideration of S.Res. 476, and that we now proceed to that matter for consideration.
Without objection. Clerk will report.
S.Res. 476, a resolution honoring the contributions of the late Fong Li-Jue to the people of China and the cause of freedom.
Without objection, the committee is discharged, and the Senate will proceed to the measure.
I don't know of any further debate on this resolution.
Is there further debate? If not, the question is an adoption of the resolution. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Motion passes.
I ask unanimous consent the preamble be agreed to. The motion reconsidered be laid on the table. There be no intervening action or debate. And any statements related to this matter be placed in the record as if read.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I now ask we have permission to proceed S.Res. 488.
Clerk will report.
S.Res. 488, commending the efforts of the firefighters and emergency response personnel of Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, who came together to extinguish the May 23, 2012 fire at Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in Kittery, Maine.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, the motion be considered be laid on the table.
Without objection.
Mr. President, we have worked hard, not as hard as I would have liked, or not as long hours that I would have liked, and not accomplished as much as I would like. But this is the last day for this group of pages. These spring pages have they've been exemplary. I really enjoy walking past them. We're out there studying. They're sitting here as we see them now. I wish I could have been a page. I really do. I think it would be a great life. We've done a much better job of making sure they're safe and happy. When I first came here, the pages lived wherever they could find a place to live. But now we have wonderful, safe, secure dormitories for these young men and women. We have a wonderful educational program for them. It's hard. No one can say it's easy. They learn a lot. 2 of my granddaughters have been pages, and it really changed their lives. They came back here not really having much interest in government, but by the time they left, they had started reading newspapers, not like you and I, Mr. President. They did most of the reading online, but they were interested in government, and they still are. One is, I guess they're both seniors now at New York, one at New York University and one at the New School in New York. I have on one of my prized possessions in my office, I have a picture of my first 2 grandchildren, these 2 little girls, Ryan and Maddie. They're there in their diapers, you know, they're hanging on to each other. And then I have a picture right on the same little desk or whatever it's called, table, I guess is what it is. And they're in their page uniforms. That's a wonderful picture for me. It shows the progress of people's lives, and it's really meaningful to me. I can say this to these pages. This will be an opportunity that they will never forget. This is, they will make friends here who will be friends for the rest of their lives. And, Mr. President, you and I know that the friends you make when you're young are just so important to you as you proceed through life. I still love to pick up the phone and call some of the young men. And in fact, I talked to a woman today who I went to school with. That's good. That's what life's all about. Make good friends and maintain that friendship. Now, they've seen some things in the Senate that I think will be in history books forever. We passed the Surface Transportation Bill. We've passed the Violence Against Women Act. We passed the Export Impact Bank Reauthorization, Iran Sanctions Bill, FDA Modernization Act, Postal Reform. We passed that. We're in the process of trying to resolve the student loan debate, but we worked on that, and that was something that we were able to move on through this body. We passed the Paycheck Fairness, well, we didn't, but we've been involved for a long time on the Paycheck Fairness Act, and they've been able to watch all this. And they can go home and tell their friends and family. They'll relate to stuff all the time because they know now how the foundation of the government works. They've been here. And so I appreciate personally everything that they've done. Senator McConnell is going to speak to the pages tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to be here, but he will tell those assembled that he's speaking on our behalf, and I appreciate that very much. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate completes its business day, the Senate adjourn until 2 p.m. on Monday, June 11th. Following the prayer and pledge, adjourned proceedings be approved to date. Morning hour be deemed expired, and the time for the two letters be reserved for the use later in the day. And when the Senate convenes on Monday, the Senate will resume consideration of the Farm Bill post-cloture. We're working on an agreement to move that bill forward. There will be a cloture vote at 5:30, as I announced, on Andrew Horowitz. And following this statement of my esteemed Republican colleague, the Republican leader, Senator McConnell, I ask that we adjourn following his remarks under the previous order that's already been entered.
Without objection.
I've declared the Senate adjourned.
Senate adjourned. The Senate stands adjourned till 2 p.m. on Monday, June 11th.
Today, the Senate voted 90-8 to move forward